Abergele, friends, comrades, I extend my fraternal greetings to you again on this, the 44th anniversary of the tragic death of Alwyn Jones, while carrying out an action on behalf of Muddian and different Cymru. I have spoken to you at this commemoration before on many subjects surrounding the struggle for independence, both for Cymru, Ireland, Scotland, Cornwall, and the other Celtic nations, and in fact all nation states in struggle for their freedom. This year, if you will allow me, I would like to talk about the core of those struggles, and at the heart of every successful struggle by any nation is unity. Unity of purpose, unity of strength, and unity of ideals. Any struggle that wishes to achieve independence for their country must learn to be a broad church movement, putting aside small differences and personality clashes. If anything is ever to be achieved, you must forget those. There are many external detractors from the Republican goal, but far more damage is done by internal distractors. People who, for the cause, is more important as a means of a platform for their own glory or self-gratification. People for whom, when they hear of an idea, set out to destroy it because they did not think of it first. To be a successful movement, you must embrace as many people of Wales, regardless of small differences on subjects like language, politics and background. Petty differences must be put aside. This year is the 100th anniversary of the foundation of the Irish Citizen Army and also of the Irish Volunteers. Two organisations that, along with Sinn Féin, were part of a splintered, disorganised, opposing factions of Irish nationalism at the turn of the last century. But when they put all their differences aside and looked towards the real goal of freeing Ireland, uniting together, they brought a mayhem to the British Empire not seen since 1776. When in May 1916 they took on the might of that empire, they fought and died as brothers and sisters, side by side against England, regardless of any differences. That movement continued on with success after success until differences were allowed again to grow like a cancer, and it stopped them short of achieving total independence for the whole island of Ireland at that time. Unity is what gives power and strength to continue against all odds and to be triumphant. We here today must reach out to those around us who have similar goals and directions and bring all of those people into a fold of a stronger movement with a clear purpose of a free Wales. Disunity is a cancer that will destroy any movement. Another cancer in sight at the moment is the increasing activities of the fascist organisations on this island, the EDL and WDL and etc. I won't even mention most of them. Their agenda is purely hate and nothing else. Don't be fooled, comrades. They use any pretense to demonise any and all sections of society that they feel do not measure up to their ideals. From targeting the Irish people in Liverpool, Jews in Manchester and Muslims everywhere. These small-minded people exist only to hate. Make no mistake, in the mind of such fascists, any different is seen as something to be loathed. They judge all Celts and all other nations as less than themselves. The people of any Celtic nation should have no time for such narrow-minded evil ideals. Wales needs to resist these groups at every turn. I see that BC is holding a counter-demonstration to the Fash March in Llandudno, or at least taking part in it, and I would urge you all to peacefully support that march. Before I finish, though, it would be remiss if I did not mention one successful past struggle. A struggle where the members of the movement were made up by many sections of the community, where worldwide support was given, with among the few notable exceptions being Maggie Thatcher, who instead supported the government that this struggle was against. Thatcher, of course, was always a friend to all sorts of ragbag dictators. The struggle I'm referring to, of course, was the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. One of the many heroes of that struggle was Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in jail for his beliefs. As you know, Nelson is now in a critical condition in hospital, and my thoughts and best wishes are with him at this time, and I'm sure all of yours are as well. Nelson has always been a champion of the underdog and a great supporter of Sinn Féin and many other movements in their struggle worldwide. The ANC was made up of many shades of opinion, and their battle was long and hard, but they won out in the end. They won. It would seem appropriate at this time, then, if I leave you with a quote from Madiba himself, a quote he used about the ANC's fight for freedom, which is true of all our nations as we strive to be free. He said, "It always seems to be impossible until it's done." Those are true words. We need to keep that in mind. It's never impossible. And as Nelson Mandela proved, nothing is impossible. You're determined to be free. Remember to sacrifice Alwyn Jones and take this struggle forward until you are free, a free nation. Cymru Reid. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dermot. Passionate as ever. Before I go on, I'd also like to thank North Wales Police for their help and support today. Again, it's a cooperation that we do, so I'd just like to thank them for their efforts today in making things go smoothly. Today's event is a far cry from the first Aberth Abergele parade. That event had the police helicopter hovering overhead the whole time, riot vans and police in in riot gear, ready and waiting. I don't know what they were waiting for, but they were. And they had the football hooligan video and photographic teams out in attendance to catch us all and take photos and videos. So over time, thanks to cooperation and a mutual respect, we now have a Memorial Day which is fitting to the loss of the life of two of Cymru's sons. Alwyn Jones, Mudiad Amddiffyn Cymru, Mac, and his dear friend George Taylor, who sadly lost their lives close to this spot 44 years ago. So, before we lay these, I'd like to have a moment's silence for us to think of those lost in the struggle. Thank you very much. No worries.
Night 2. And that's Jimmy's. Jimmy. What? Yeah, that was on the bottom, yeah.